Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sterling Live. My name is Caitlin Brower. I am Sterling's social media manager, along with your host for Sterling Live. I'm really excited. We've had such a busy couple of months with Sterling Live, and I really think this episode is special as we kind of round out that busy season. We do have a lot to talk about today, and I'm really, really excited here as my guests are above me. You can see we have Harris Bornstein, Head of Strategic Alliances and Channel Partnerships here at Sterling, and Alan Tockerman, Manager of Ecosystem Partnerships at iCIMS. The bottom of the screen shows our topic today. Sterling and iCIMS, 10 years of simplified hiring. We're going to be diving into our partnership, integration benefits, and the HR Tech Conference, which is coming up super soon in October. And I actually think all three of us are going to be there, which is exciting. So let's go ahead and get into it. Harris, Alan, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Sterling Live. I want to give you both a moment to introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about your role at Sterling and iCIMS, and again, just give our audience a little bit more background about yourself. So Harris, I'll kick it over to you first to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Caitlin, and Alan, thanks for joining us. My name's Harris. I've been with Sterling for 24 years. I spent about half that time doing sales, learning the business, growing with the business. The most recent half of my tenure, I've been focused on building and growing our partner ecosystem. Now I lead an amazing team of partner managers and marketers responsible for working closely with partners to ensure we're putting our mutual clients in the best position possible, providing an integrated solution, allowing them to order their background checks right from their talent acquisition applications, in this case, like iCIMS, who's been a fantastic partner. I was excited to bring them on 10 years ago.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. Alan, can you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Oh, thank you, Caitlin and Harris, for having me. Pleasure to meet everybody and be here with you. I lead our partner relationship team here at iCIMS. I have been at iCIMS for the past 6 years, but a long history in HR tech spanning over 15 years within the industry. And I've seen an amazing evolution within our industry with many factors impacting at different times and different events. However, our partnership with Sterling has been foundational throughout that time and the evolution. Just a little background on iCIMS is, we're an organization based here in Bellworks, Homedale, New Jersey, which for those who watch, with the Apple TV show Severance, it is the big black building is where we are based out of, which is ironically also the location of our first client, which was the impetus for the creation of the iCIMS ATS. We've been in the business for 20 plus years, and we have grown, from just a single platform into, some organic solutions with our own CRM and onboarding. And as we progressed into that evolution in the second decade in the 2010s, we realized the necessity for building out an ecosystem and a concept called Unify, which I'll get into in a little bit, to be able to support our customers with this resources they need within this complex world of recruitment and hiring. I always think back to that Simplified video that we used to watch as a kid is I'm just a bill, right? It makes it sound so simple to say, I just want to become a bill, right? And when I talk to people outside of the industry who aren't familiar and they say, I'm just going to hire someone. And I always think back to the simplicity of that 2-minute video of, the beginning and the end, where many just don't realize that it's a really complex cycle that we deal with at all stages within talent acquisition. And some do see it as a linear progress with a start and an end, where us here at iCIMS, we see it as a continuous cycle with strategies being fundamental as part of the business success, being able to attract, engage, hire in advance, winning workforce and delivering on those business priorities.
Well, thank you. And unfortunately, we will not be performing I'm Just a Bill today for you guys, but we will be giving you a lot of really awesome information. So sorry to let you guys know that. So I do want to let our audience know real quick, if you are tuning in live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, thank you. If you have any questions for Harris or Alan throughout the episode, you can go ahead and put them in the comment section across these 3 platforms, and I will get the questions over to these 2 as I see fit throughout the episode. let's go ahead and get into it. So I want to first cover off on our partnership. 10 years of Sterling and iCIMS. Let's just clap that out real quick and shout out to both organizations. Really awesome here. There is a blog going in the chat across all of our platforms right now that talks about the timeline in our partnership, but I want to hear about it from the two of you. So it's a long time to be partners, which is great. What notable things have happened over the last 10 years? Harris, I'm going to kick it to you first, and then Alan, if you can follow up.
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. So, first I want to go back to Alan. You mentioned Severance, which is a great show, but they chose that building for a reason. You guys are in one of the coolest buildings I've been in my 24 years of working here. Was just here a couple of weeks ago. It was great to see you guys. So any chance I can get as a fellow New Jerseyan, obviously, this partnership is near and dear for a number of reasons, but always great to see you guys and spend some time in quite frankly, an historic building. But when we started our partnership, you were in a different location. And 10 years ago, our partnership was it was an integration. We had mutual clients. I remember, I think back to it, and our sales team and support team coming to me saying, we've got to do something with iCIMS. They're popping up everywhere. They're growing in the space. Clients are using them. They wanted an integration. And I remember reaching out and having some of our first initial meetings. And really the intent was to have an integration, make sure we were servicing our clients. But we built the integration 10 years ago with the goal of creating a better and more streamlined experience for the recruiter. And over the years, we've shifted that focus a little bit. Obviously, the recruiter experience is super important, but we've really focused quite a bit on the candidate experience along with iCIMS, which is something you hear so much about, and I'm sure we'll continue to. And as far as the most recent evolution, Sterling has been a leader in the iCIMS ecosystem, premier partner. We were one of the first partners to take the Prime integration to market. We've integrated our I-9 services, so along with background screening and drug screening, which was kind of like the core of our partnership. We now have I-9 integrated. We have our identity verification services integrated. We have a truly global integration, so we're now able to service our clients from an integration standpoint all across the world. And then lastly, again, when I think about the evolution of our partnership, I think about, on the more strategic side, we've done lunch and learns. We've met your teams. You've met our teams. We've sponsored the iCIMS Inspire conference. And, our teams are just really well connected, from sales to support to implementation to marketing. So, it's just been a really fantastic partnership, and we're grateful.
Alan.
Well, I think it's fair to say, first off, kudos to you, Harris, who was there day one to spearhead the partnership, right, and build it from the ground up. And as you're sitting there talking, I was just thinking to myself, you were talking about the word definition, integration. As you think about that word, it can have many different meanings. It can be one field, it could be 100 fields, it could be everything in between, and more. And when you talk about a true integration experience, starting with where we were 10 years ago to the robustness of that experience today, to your point, both the recruiter and the candidate, it speaks volumes to the businesses, leaderships, the industries, our product teams' interests, and collaboration to drive that forward for our shared customers. I mentioned before the concept of Unify, which was the realization of, for iCIMS, on the iCIMS side years ago, early 2010s, that there are pieces of the recruiting experience for candidates and for recruiters that iCIMS, we're not interested in getting into the background business, the assessment business, the I-9 business, and so forth. But it's really key and pivotal for our customers to be able to have those tools, but have it integrated into a core system for the best recruiter experience. And to Harris's point, as we've evolved to today, also incorporating the candidate experience into those workflows. And the idea of Unify was that platform to be able to do that. And we brought that to market, and Sterling, who was a leader in their space at that time and continues to be, raised their hands and wanted to be part of that experience, and has since that point continued to grow within our marketplace and be a leader within the iCIMS marketplace. As we have grown and matured, Sterling has been there right there with us. Right? I believe, in 2016, we had probably about 150 integrated customers between us. As you moved into the late 2017s into early 2018, it matured to 200 integrated clients. And I think where we stand today is 300 plus integrated customers between us. And, again, speaking to the volumes of the commitments from our business, as Harris pointed out, we rolled out Prime integration back in 2018. And that was a key, point for us as a business. And it was important to have the right partner be in there early. And Sterling was one of those partners to help guide the evolution of that integration, work with our product teams, provide feedback for the better candidate and recruiter experiences during those times, and helping to mature that experience to what it is today. Taking a quick look back, they were fast to raise their hand. And we appreciate that and the transparency that they shared. Harris, to your point, right? You were similarly when we started our first user conference in 2020, Inspire. The first ones to raise their hand, Harris, said, "I'd love to be part of that. It's a great show of our experience of our partnership, and we'd love to help celebrate and continue to highlight and show our value to our customers and future customers together."
I love hearing about the growth, with our client base together. And I think it's a true testament of what the two of you have just mapped out over the last 10 years, what has happened in, both industries, both organizations, and the two of us being able to come together and adapt and work together to provide the best experience for both of our clients. So really hats off to both organizations and this partnership. With that, though, I'd like to dive into, a little bit more around the benefits of this integration. We've come a long way in 10 years. We're putting the client first. We're making sure they have everything they need. So let's talk about that more. And then just as a quick FYI here, if you would like to dive into it a little bit further, you can visit Sterling websites, our website across all of the social pages right now. You can see our iCIMS partners page, so go ahead and check that out. So there obviously are a lot of ATS software and screening vendors to choose from. Why are clients choosing Sterling and iCIMS together? Alan, I'll start with you on this one, and Harris can follow up.
For sure. When you think about the integration that we share, and to Harris's point, with the many different products between our two organizations, it's quite robust. The better experience for the candidate and the recruiter first off. You're not jumping in between disparate systems in many situations, depending on the preference of the customer, by all means. But a unified, simplified workflows, the automation, and removing the manual steps within that to make sure that our customers are being as efficient with their time. Right? We all know that every day we are asked to do more with less. So those automation and those removing those manual functionalities is key for our clients to be successful, and as well to be accurate. Removing the need to jump back and forth, real-time data and insights to improve the reporting and the performance. We have a number of co-customers between us, right? Some just examples of clients that have used the integrated experience. For example, we have a shared client, Southeastern Grocers. They reduced the manual process by 30%, all right? And which is saving the team 8 hours a week to be able to get in front of candidates and own those conversations. It's helped scale and streamline the global background screening package and program for them. Reduce customer support from 3 days to 2 hours to make sure that they have everything with what they need right at their fingertips. So just a great example of customers that are using the integration today and the value that they're seeing from it.
Harris?
Yeah, really well said. The integration, it speaks for itself, right? And it's invisible to our clients. And if you really kind of zoom out, right? Yeah, they see that the fields interact and that the data is transferring over, but the key thing with the integration is it just has to work, right? So, there's a lot of it that's happening on the back end when, we're offering multiple workflow options. We have, dynamic packages available. As I mentioned, our I-9 product is integrated. And typically the background check is the last step between an offer being made and an individual being onboarded. So it's imperative that we're providing not just a great service, but a great service within the iCIMS platform, so clients can manage everything in one place. But the other thing I want to say about that is, it's, yes, obviously the technology is super important, but it's also really, Caitlin, you asked, why are clients choosing, iCIMS and Sterling together? And again, the technology is obviously an important piece, but it's really the people, right?
Yeah.
So providing the levels of support required to service our joint clients, especially in the enterprise global space, especially in industries where we have so much success as a partnership. We're just, Sterling is passionate about the way we support our clients. And we expect the same from our partners. And iCIMS really steps to the plate when it comes to that, the levels of support that we and our clients would expect. And that's what makes our partnership so effective.
Harris, you said something that made me think it's a little bit outside of our industry, but you talk about this concept of integration and the experience from the user end. And it's almost like, in reality, if the user doesn't realize that there is the integration, it's a great experience. At a personal level, I think you and I and others within the industry who do this for a living and understand different systems and companies that need to talk to each other for the end user or the system users or admins. From a healthcare perspective, I was going through a workflow myself, and the reality of seeing an integration work in such a smooth manner, it made you appreciate it. And it's if you don't realize that it's there, that's almost a great thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
That's a great point for sure. And I like the example too, what you thought, you personally going through something. Yeah. And if it's not 15 things being thrown at you, it's probably a good thing. But, and again, it's a true testament to the partnership as well. You're talking about, why are people choosing the two of us together? You talk about the growth so we can see that there. And I love being on video chat with the two of you. And I'm sure everyone loves watching us on video here. But what's more exciting in October is that people have the opportunity to see Sterling and iCIMS in person at the HR Tech Conference. So let's move into that there. So speaking of HR Tech, we are going to be at the conference this year. It's coming up in October, the 10th to the 13th. What can people expect to see if they stop by both of our booths? And I'll give out all of that information at the end. Don't worry, but we're just going to talk about what to expect at our booth and then what type of trends do you think we're going to be seeing this year? What are attendees going to be talking about? Alan, I'll kick it over to you to start here.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously we're excited to be back at HR Tech again this year. We have a lot of activity planned. Feel free to join Rhea Moss, iCIMS Global Head of Workforce and Customer Insights, and Andrew Curtis, iCIMS Director of Solution Consulting, at the iCIMS booth on Thursday, October 12th at 10 a.m. for a discussion around delivering breakthrough candidate experiences, which is a key part of the continual conversation of what is that experience, and keeping candidates at the forefront of what we do. And then also, come connect with us and our friends at Sterling and others in the industry for a happy hour. After a very long day, I'm sure, on the expo floor. We'll be located at the Eye Candy Bar Lounge right at the heart of Mandalay Bay. So be sure to click the link below in the chat. We'll be putting it in a few minutes just to, if you're interested in coming, joining, and relaxing after a long, hard day. iCIMS we'll drop this in the chat as well. We'll be at booth 59 or 5919 and meet the team. You'll have the ability to come in and experience what the iCIMS Talent Cloud has to offer, from the robustness on the attract, engage, hire, and advanced solutions that fall within that Talent Cloud. Appreciate you guys having me today. But yeah, I'd love to hear, Harris, what do you guys have planned?
Is the bird going to be there?
The bird may be making an appearance. We have a new and updated bird, and yes, thankfully, we have fans in there to keep them cool because it gets hot on that
Yeah, I can imagine.
conference floor.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, look, for us, interestingly enough, last year I sensed a trend. You talk about trends. There was a focus on employee engagement, which I know we've touched upon a few times just during this conversation. The employee experience, employee engagement. I expect to see more of that this year. I have a hunch AI will be a hot topic this year. At our booth, speaking of employee engagement, I'm sure we'll be touting our HR Tech Award for Best Comprehensive Solution for Enterprise, where our Candidate Hub, again, going back to the candidate experience, was recognized for providing candidates with the best background screening process or experience. So we'll be talking about a little bit about that at our booth. Obviously, we'll also be highlighting partnerships like iCIMS, where we'll have demos available of our platform as well as our integrations. And on Wednesday afternoon, Meg Wilson, our Chief Product Officer, will be running a breakout session along with our partners at ID.me about simplified hiring, how identity credentials are changing the game. We'll be highlighting the importance of running background checks with clean candidate data and how we rely on identity verification as a first and maybe even most important step of running a background check, especially in a world now where the remote workforce is as large as it is. And of course, they'll be discussing the future of verified credentials, the concept of a digital wallet, another hot topic, and how that'll play a role in hiring and in screening. So it should be fun. Looking forward to it.
Got a lot planned for HR Tech, and you will see this crew back together, of course, and many, many others. We're going to have a great time. So real quickly, awesome episode today. The two of you really love talking about this journey between both organizations and our overall partnership and, what we're doing to come. The conference is in a couple of weeks. We've got more planned for all of you. So just real quickly, I want to call for questions one more time on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. If you have any final questions for these two, let me know. But I wanted to just get some final thoughts from the two of you before we wrap up today. So Harris, I will start with you on final thoughts.
Yeah. So, I'm often asked what makes a great partner, what's an ideal partner. And, to me, it comes down to trust, right? And trust isn't earned by signing a partnership agreement or building an integration. It evolves. It takes hard work. It takes collaboration. Just looking at Alan and Alan's like a friend of mine at this point, which is great. Like I love that we're here together and that we, again, our local ties here in New Jersey. It's good to have such a great partner. So we have partners where we have an integration. They're great partners, but to be able to work strategically and grow together and advocate for each other, it's really what makes for a successful partnership. We have a core value at Sterling that is the client is always in the room. And if we're going to invite a partner into that room, it's imperative that we're aligned in every way. And with iCIMS, aside from their amazing company and their amazing product, they really have some of the best people that I've ever worked with in my long career here at Sterling. It's never been anything short of an absolute pleasure working with the entire iCIMS team. I'm grateful to iCIMS and Alan. I thank you again for joining us today.
I appreciate that, Harris. I appreciate you tying it back to Sterling's values. I think we bring them up on every Sterling Live episode. And the most important thing that everyone needs to realize is that it's for our values are for everyone. So the direct tie to partners there is super important. So thank you for that. Alan, final thoughts for you from today's episode.
Harris, you hit most of the topics that I had thought in my head. However, trust is a big one, right? And I think from the day you and I got on the phone for the first time, maybe it's us identifying ourselves both as Giants fans. That was the ultimate trust impetus, but obviously building and maturing from there. But in all fairness, we always say there's a lot of factors that go into a successful partnership right? To your point, right? We can have an integration and be able to support it for our clients, but a true partnership, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Casting, right? The person that's sitting across the table from you and the commitments that they are making and that you're making and following through on that. And that's where your point of trust comes through. Alignment on the vision from both companies. It's important to make sure that what we talk about as partners is supported by the business, right? And the investment and resources that it takes to drive the right outcomes that that we're looking to invest in. We share the wins together, we share the losses together, but we remain committed to the customer. And it's that the comfort of collaboration and transparency to make sure that when we do have to have good, bad, and everything in between conversations, we know that we're doing this in the strength of the partnership, and we will be better off on the other side for all successes. It's been a pleasure working with Harris for these years, and I look forward to another 10 years working with Harris and the entire Sterling team. So thank you all for having me today, and look forward to the future with you.
Let's do it. 10 more years and more. A lot of positivity coming through in the chat. So thank you to our audience who's engaged. We're talking about us being the dream team, you both being valued partners, engaged partners. So I love it. Keep that positivity coming as we enter the next 10 years of our partnership. Real quick, as we wrap up today's episode, I have a couple of call to actions for our audience. You saw a lot of live links being thrown out throughout the episode, so please check out our partner page on sterlingcheck.com. You can be able to schedule a demo with Sterling and iCIMS. We have a blog and a beautiful infographic that paints a beautiful picture of our partnership over the last 10 years. That is also in the chat. Please go ahead and check that out. And most importantly, coming up at the HR Tech Conference, you can visit Sterling at booth 3229 and iCIMS at booth 5919. You can also check out the links in the chat as well. It tells you everything that Sterling's doing there. And there's also a link to the happy hour that Alan mentioned for iCIMS. They would love to see you there after a very long day on the conference floor, like he had said. With that being said, thank you to my guests, Harris and Alan. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with the two of you today. Thank you to our live audience and to those who tune in on demand. We always appreciate you showing up for Sterling Live week after week. So again, Alan, Harris, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on Sterling Live.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thanks,
Thank
Alan.
you for having me. You have a great afternoon all.
Thanks, everyone.